Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 17. And welcome back to Coldborough Park Farm. You know, it took me the longest time to get used to saying 19. And then we put 19, we set it aside for a minute. So we're back on 17. Now I have to remember to get used to saying 17 again. So it goes, let's bring you up to speed on what's going on here. So on our farm, which is, let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Yeah. So we're going to focus, I think, on the top of the hill around the area around the main farm here. And I've played this map several times, like played it through, put some decent time into it. And these fields surrounding the map, you start with all of them really except 6 and 3. And these fields for single player with small to mid-sized equipment, it's really, for me personally, it's kind of all that I can handle. These fields don't look that big, but it really is kind of a big farm. So we don't own fields 3 and 6 yet, but the others, we planted everything with canola, and it's growing nicely, and everything is well and truly fertilized. Now this area here, sort of between fields 4, 5, and 6, the area right behind the main farm, is a grass meadow that we own, and then we also own one meadow down by the dairy, field 22, and the small field up on the highway, field 23. So we're going to do some grass work today. Our grass has come in. If I can get back here. Right there. Boom. Our grass has come in. So we're going to start with field 22. And I rented this Fendt mower system, front and rear butterfly, and it's got the belt system. So we're going to throw a swath. We're not going to spread it. And I did, you know, that little Massey we had, it was a 3080, 3090. It was a cool tractor. It was like 130 horsepower, I think, but it was comparatively expensive. So I actually traded it in on another 1455, and we made money on the deal. We sold that used Massey, which I guess we got used anyway, but we sold that for like 60 grand. And this, with some goodies on it, was like 40, right? So we made about 20,000. And that is right there. And then I also got a Stewart silage tipper. We got this old used Pottinger loading wagon. And then right over here, we did get the Boss front loader, which is specific to that new 1455 that we got. I mean, it's new, but it's old. You know what I mean. And this is specific. That's the C&D family case system. And it comes with its own front loader by Boss. And then the tools are the regular Stoll tools. So let's get started. You know, I thought about putting that Pottinger. Oh, and this is the silage additive for this loading wagon. It does. You can fill the silage additive tank on there, and it does require you to change the blades periodically, the cutter blades. So I was thinking of towing it with this new case. This new old case. I was thinking of towing it, right? And just having it do a follow me behind the Optum with the mowers on it. But I realized, like, it's not, I mean, we have so much grass to cut, and that forage wagon is going to pick up so slowly. It's really not critical. I don't think. We don't need to streamline our operation to that point this early in the game. We got a minute. So if you're looking up in the top right, you can see that it is day 5 now. I did skip ahead. That's a lot easier when you don't have animals. And, you know, I realize not a lot of sim farmers use seasons when they make videos. And the reason why, I think, is it slows down and speeds up the game at the same time, both in the wrong direction at once, if that makes sense. It just makes everything, I don't want to say harder, but it does, hop right up in here. It does make it harder to make a series that makes sense, if that makes sense. So I've been trying to figure out a way to do this. Now I'm also running the Fuel Adjust mod by Black Panther Group Modding. And that's a cool mod because it doesn't just change the fuel and power usage for the tractors, well, for anything self-propelled. It does something else really cool. And in base game, when you accelerate time, it does not accelerate fuel use. Now, I'm going to do this very carefully because I have a bad habit of unfolding the wrong thing right? And then getting it caught in the gate. Okay, so that is unfolded. We will start that. We will lower that. And pull forward just a little bit. Pull forward just a little bit. Plenty of horsepower for this operation, I think. Right? And now we're going to unfold these. Yep, and the belts are down. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Right. So now I'm going to lift the front, set the brake, carefully step out. I think that'll clear. Will that clear? I'm going to risk it. Perfect. Right, so now we're going to start the rear motors. Oh, yeah. Lower those. Lower that. Back the cruise control down just a little bit. Here we go. So the Black Panther modding group fuel usage mod. In base game, when you accelerate time, it does not accelerate fuel use or hours on the equipment. So it's, I guess there's no penalty to accelerating time other than it just makes the day go by quicker. And if you're not using seasons, you can accelerate time all you want, and I don't know how else to say it. There is no penalty. It's just a convenient way to make the day in the map change a little bit more. It's totally cool. I get it. But when you're in seasons, sometimes you sort of need that time, and then when you throw in the Black Panther modding fuel adjust, it actually accelerates the fuel use and the wear and tear on the equipment to whatever time you accelerate to. And the way that I found that out was I left a tractor running when I sped the time up to 120 just for a minute, and when I got in that tractor the next day, it had like half its maintenance cycle was gone, and I really hadn't even used it, and I figured out that was what was going on. So as thrifty as we're trying to be on this map, right? We're really trying to watch our money. I'm watching fuel costs and maintenance on the equipment. And on everything but this Optum, maintenance isn't going to be too bad because we bought those tractors used and they weren't terribly expensive. But this Optum, it is going to be kind of expensive to keep this maintained. So what I've been doing is going through an evolution. Like, I'll fertilize all the fields, and then I'll make sure all my equipment is turned off, and then I'll accelerate time a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean I'll accelerate it to 120, so you know what I mean. I'll accelerate it a great deal, but not for very long. And then come out of that, do another evolution, like plant all my fields or whatever, however it works out. So that's been a good system, but I do that off camera, obviously, because there's nothing going on anyway. So as an example, we got all our fields planted, and then I sped up time till they sprouted, and then I fertilized them. Fertilizing, it's maybe not the most interesting thing to watch. So I think I'm just going to keep doing that, and as long as we don't have animals, you can accelerate time all you want. And I guess that's the other thing that I was getting at earlier. Maybe I didn't express it clearly. The fact that seasons sort of locks you down on how much you can feed your animals and how much food they consume and different amounts in the summer and in the winter. You need to be careful accelerating time because your animals will run out of food, sometimes even overnight. Now, most of the time you can put a third of a season into the trough as far as food goes in seasons, and because all the seasons are broken down into like divisions of 3, right? It's either 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, right? It's typically like a third of a season. So if you're on a 9-day cycle, you can fit a maximum of 3 days of food into their trough. If you're on a 6-day cycle, you can fit maximum of 2 days, etc. So in the winter, if you're trying to speed through winter in seasons, it really is just accelerating time till your animals are almost starving, going back to X1 time, hopping in your tractors or your feed mixers or whatever, getting the animals all taken care of, cleaning out the muck. If you're in a map like this, like Bullet Bill, there's no manure bunker. It doesn't automatically collect in a bunker. You have to manually clean it. So you manually feed and clean out your animals, and then speed up time again. You just do that all through the winter. I would like to see a way. Well, I'd like to see a couple things, and I don't think we're ever really going to see anything else again for FS17. The game is sort of, I wouldn't say it's unsupported, but you know, it's we're moving toward 19. So I guess in 17, because I'm sort of down on 19 right now, but in 19 as well it would work. I would love to see a feature where periodically you got a pop-up that said your animals need feeding. So either feed them yourself, or would you like to pay a worker to do it? And then but like what you pay is based on how many animals you have. So if you have 8 cows, it might cost you, €100 or something, whatever. And if you have 500 cows, it's going to cost you more. And that would be, that pricing would also be based on, I know I'm going to drive across my own windrow here. Not super realistic. And I think that would also be based on what you have. If you have bales, right? Like if you have straw bales and your cows need straw, it's going to use one of your bales and reduce your bale count by 1 or whatever. And if you don't, it buys one from the store for €600, and that goes into your cow maintenance cost for that cycle, right? For that warning. I think that would be a cool thing. I know in Cattle and Crops, there was really, I think, needlessly complicated and elaborate system to do that same thing. And what was funny about it is I never saw an animation for it. So it was like this super, super complicated setup where you had to like pick a worker, then pick a tractor that you owned, then assign the tractor to the worker, then assign the implements to the tractor. And this whole big thing. And after all that, there was no animation that I ever saw. But I would love to see, an animation would be great, where if you've assigned a worker to maintain your livestock at 5 a.m., that if you're up at 5 a.m., you can see a tractor moving around the farmyard, right? Or you can see a feed mixer moving around the farmyard, and that's your crew, taking care of your animals. Yeah, and I guess that's another possibility, is that one person can only take care of, say, 25 cows or 40 pigs or whatever, and more than that, you see multiple people moving around. I don't know. I mean, I get that that's all complicated, that's all coding, that's all scripting, it all adds complexity to the game, it eats up CPU, it slows down frame rate, I get all that. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, I think that would be super cool. So, we've made 3 headlands. I think that's going to be plenty, so what I'm going to do now is when we come back around, I'm going to hop out of the Optum, shut down these mowers, hop out of the Optum. We're going to run over and grab our new old Case 1455. We're going to hook up our loading wagon, fill it up with silage additive. We're going to come down here and we're going to pick up a row, and we're going to find out several things. We're going to find out how much we can fit in there. And there's a very specific reason why we're doing what we're doing right now, and I'll tell you once I turn the mower off and it's a little quieter. I'll tell you why I'm doing what we're doing. I think this could work. It is really going to be tough to make money on this map, and I've been thinking about realism. A lot, and I think what sort of clicked in my head and made me think about realism is FS19 and how not realistic it was. And, things like dynamic hoses or manual covers or manual attaching, when you watch YouTubers and read the comments, there's some people that are really they really want you to play realistic. But for a lot of, I guess, YouTube viewers, playing realistic means things like using the manual climb down function if a tractor has it in IC, right? So some tractors have a script where you open the door inside and then you manually get down, and it shows an animation of the point of view, the camera, sort of climbing down, and like it's going down 2 or 3 steps down to the ground, and then you turn around and close the door. And man, I've seen people in comments just like, they insist on that. Or I saw there's one YouTuber I used to watch, and their thing was, moment please. So we're gonna lift that, turn that off, lift that. There you go. Turn that off. Oh yeah, fold that. Fold that. I'm going to leave the engine running. As I learned in a thread, when you've been working a piece of equipment hard, you want to let it cool down. So I saw a comment, and what the comment said was basically, don't do this, right? That's not realistic, because the gate is not going to open and close by itself. So what you would do rather is, if I were closing this gate, I would stay here until it was all the way closed, right? Or if I was opening it, I would basically manually push it open. And that is, to this commenter, that is realistic play. And I get where they're coming from, I really do. I think that is realistic role playing, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into. That's a super cool, super detailed way to play. But I think for me, what I'm realizing is realistic play is more about how would I run a real farm? And as you know, as far as things like opening a gate, that's cool, you know, if that's what you're into. But to me, that doesn't necessarily add to or take away from the realism. But as I'm thinking about things like, how are we going to make money, right? Can we make enough money? What equipment are we buying? You know, I've thought about that, all that canola that we have in. I estimate we have, I think, between about 200 and 300,000 liters of canola in the ground right now. And it's currently, now in seasons, the prices do go up and down during the year. But I want to say it's about, well, we can look right now. Moment. Save game. Set the brake. Canola is going for, best price we can get is at the biogas, and it is about 700 euro per 1,000 liters. So let's say we'll go on the low side. Let's say we have 200,000 liters. That's 140 grand we have in canola. And that's fantastic. That's a decent amount of money, right? There's one problem, and that is, I think we have, all told, I think we have about $40,000, 40,000 euro rather, of consumables into the canola that we've planted, and that would be seed and fertilizer. Fertilizer killed us. Now, is it that one? Yep. We're filling our silage additive right now, by the way. If you can't see in the small menu, that's what we're doing. So we'll have a net, just using approximate math, we'll have a net of, say, 100,000 euro. And at that rate, it's like, okay, so all those fields, it's 100,000 euro. Now we can't, fields 3 and field 6, I think each one of them are 250,000 euro. So we wouldn't even be able to buy another field this year. But if we did, whether we just bought it or whether we took out a loan for it, right? Like bought it cash or took out a loan for it, now that's more money that we need to recover. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I think it's too easy, and FS19 really brought it home for me. I think it's too easy in this game to just think about making money like any way you can and not break it down into, okay, what is making me money? Like what am I doing that's making me money, and what is losing me money and I'm subsidizing it? So I'm really trying to think carefully about that, and to me, that's a realistic way to play. And the great thing about this game is you can play it any way you want. There is no right or wrong way. So when I say, you know, a realistic way to play, whoa. I don't know why it's doing that. We're really like zooming along here. That's no good. There we go. Better. Mo better. Even mo better still. Well, go right in there. So you see what I'm saying. So the reason I went ahead and got the loading wagon, and the reason we're going to put this up as silage, is we can either sell it at the BGA and make a little bit of money and have digestate, or we can save it and use it to feed cows. But either way, we need to find a way to fertilize. We have to spend less money on fertilizer. So I think if we sell this at the BGA, and I don't know how much grass we're going to get. I'm thinking about 100,000 liters from these 3 fields combined, which would be like 40 grand, 40,000 euro, and maybe not enough digestate to hit all our fields, but we are running a hard manure mod. So if we are to spray even one big field with digestate, right, and then cut it in with a subsoiler, a plow, cultivator, whatever, we'll get 2x for that. So even if we can just do, like, say, our one biggest field, if we're able to save that much in fertilizer, that might be 3,000 or 4,000 euro. And, you know, as tight as it's going to be, like, those are the numbers that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to get them to a point where they make sense and where we can be profitable. And to me, that's realistic playing. And I think that's between the economy being sort of wonky in FS19 and also, how do I want to say this? I feel like the economic model for the sim for 19, for 17, and probably even for 15, although I didn't spend a lot of time in it, only a couple months before 17 came out. I feel like the economics in this game, I don't know if they're set up so that you just need to, like, crack the code, right? You just need to, like, find out the winning formula, right? Like it used to be for silage. I say this all the time. In 15 and I think in 17, but then they nerfed it. Fill the bunker with silage and the next day sell it for €1,000,000 and you can buy anything you want. It's like gold nuggets. Why would I waste my time looking for gold nuggets? I'll just plant a couple cornfields, fill a bunker, and then I'm done. I can buy any field and any piece of equipment that I want after one cycle of silage. Plus you have all the digestate. So I guess what I'm saying is one of my favorite things about... Are we done? We are done. Oh, and I just realized, okay. I just realized I went to all that trouble to fill the silage additive tank and you have to turn it on manually, and I forgot to. So, pardon me. Hang on, let me have a sip of coffee. Just got super dry. Where's my coffee? Here it is. So first thing is we'll turn on the silage additive next time. We went to the trouble to add it. So I guess what I'm getting at is I want to make sure that everything we're doing is making money and not just seeming like it's making money because our bank account balance is going up, right? Like if we're doing 5 things, 4 of them are losing us money and 1 of them is OP, and we just get those fat stacks, you know, that's just sandbox. I don't want to do that. So I got to cut across 1 row here. I always hate to do that. There you go. And then I guess I got to cut across 2 more rows. Now this is Coldborough Park V3, and I want to say it was either V1 or V2. Well, as far as I know, it wasn't V3, but it might have been. But the silage bunker down here at the cows was bugged out, so if we dump this and it just goes crazy and makes this big old, like, kind of artifact madness, then we'll know it's still bugged out. But Bullet Bill is a super, super solid mod maker, so I assume it's been fixed. Throw it in reverse. Back it up here. I do like this smaller, older equipment. I mean, I like new stuff too. I think the thing that really kind of got me hooked on this game... Now, I found this game accidentally. And is it... Yep, it's that one. I found this game sort of accidentally. I was looking for ETS2 mods, and I kept seeing Farm Sim mods. I had no interest in it. But I was like, I don't know, just intrigued one day. And one of the things that really caught my eye all the way back in 15 were the Klaas Zarian tractors. They're just so futuristic and so, like, imaginative, and, you know, solving that problem of visibility. And and having the cab so far forward, or the mid cab class, where you can actually flip the cab around and put it on the end. So it's like it's mounted to the middle of the tractor, but you can lift it up, turn it 180 degrees, and then now you're like looking out the back, but you're looking out the front of the cab. If that makes sense? You know what I'm talking about. This is the big Colossus variants with the cab that flips. That's just So I really like the new stuff, but I like old tractors as well, and I do like old sputtering diesel motors. Something very, very satisfying about that. Right, so we're gonna do one more. Is that? Yeah, that's that. So let's get hit the Z key. Beautiful. Turn that on. Turn that on. Turn that on. And actually, there's a new key code where you can drop the gearbox add-on HUD down into the regular player HUD. Clear up the screen a little bit. So, right, drop the pickup. Here we go. And I mean, we filled this thing going around essentially halfway. We did one length and one width. And we're at the top now, so if we do another length and then another width, right? So we did one down, one sideways. Now we're going to do one up, one sideways. And that should fill us up again. We'll drop off. We're at 26 minutes. That'll be perfect. That'll be about a 30-minute episode and a little bit of grass work. And I guess next, like I said, I'll work off camera and I'll get the rest of this grass done. That's going to take a hot minute. And I will return those mowers that we leased, and probably, yeah, I think I'll need to get some silage tools for the pit, because it just takes so long without them, just driving back and forth. But then when you have a silage tool, it's got to be like 5 times faster, 10 times faster. So I'll get this clamped, let it start cooking, and when you come back, and we've already done 3 layers of fert on all of our canola fields. So when you come back next episode, we will probably be just about ready to harvest, and that's going to be a handful too, because we're going to harvest all those giant fields. Can't really see them from here on the other side of the hill, but we're going to harvest all of those giant fields with an old 1660 with a 14-foot header on it. That is going to take a minute. But again, you know, realistic, I think we paid like 51,000 euro for that harvester. I mean, we could have bought one for 350 grand, or we could have leased one for 40, right? I'd rather buy one for 50 and own it than lease one for 40. I mean, that's the base lease. The longer we have it, the more we're going to pay to lease it. And certainly, I mean, if we wanted to buy one of those big ones, it's going to cost us a ton of money, and we're going to have to maintain it. You know, it's going to cost us 5,000 or 6,000 euro per season to maintain it. So I think for me, being able to use seasons and being able to plan the economic modeling is the thing that I was missing the most in 19, and the thing that I'm going to really focus on as we close out 17 with these next few videos. Now, I have no doubt that 19 will get there once the modders get a hold of it, unless the modders don't get a hold of it. And I don't know. I mean, I think that is a possibility, because there we go. Because so many of the really big mods, you know, when you dig a little bit into who made those mods and where they are now, or what their status might be or whatever, I'm pretty sure somebody will come up with something. But you know, as far as courseplay and gearbox and seasons and some of the others, I don't know, man. I don't know if the modders that originally created those are going to bring them into 19 for various reasons, but somebody will. And the thing that's interesting is those modders, I would say, are serious enough and smart enough, right? Like savvy enough that if somebody were to just like jack their code you know, and call that mod their own. I think some people you can get away with that, particularly if they themselves stole the mod. But something like Seasons, you know what I'm saying? You probably don't want to, like, just pull a fast one and hope that crew doesn't notice. Oh, they're going to notice. They are a savvy bunch of cats to come up with something like Seasons. They're not playing. Right. Okay, I think that's it. 30 minutes exactly. That is perfect. Let's get pulled around the corner here. I'll get this rig parked. And we'll call it an episode. And when you get back next time, the grass work will be done. I'll throw some fert on those fields as well, so we can get second cut as well. There you go. Oh, always smacking my knuckles on the desk. All right, let's go right over here. It's going to be our screenshot. Beautiful. Yeah, fantastic. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 17 from Coldborough Park Farm. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.